Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. It's June 23rd, 2014. Today is show 55, and it's going to be on capitalism. And why is it on capitalism? Because I want to say hi to all my friends, my buddy Uncle Joe, Joey. I want to talk. He let me back on his site. So, I can give all his, I could explain to all his buddies the beauty of capitalism and how you can make money with solar panels. But they're a tough crowd. But that's what tonight's show is going to be about, capitalism. And has anybody noticed that the price of gas just seems to keep going up? I mean, every day it seems like it's going up. Am I right? And, what's going on? Why is the price going up? And the reason why the price is going up, it's really simple. Unrest. Unrest where? Unrest in the Middle East. And what happens with unrest? Unrest causes uncertainty. And what happens when you have uncertainty? You have higher gas prices. That's right, so the big corporations that are already exploiting you can take further advantage of you. Why? Because of uncertainty. So, and this is what we're faced with, higher gas prices. It's like we're a victim of circumstances. But guys, you know what I always say on this show? Put solar panels on your roof and a Tesla in your garage, and you don't care what the price of gas goes up to. It won't matter to you. And you could drive by the gas stations and wave to them, or if your wife calls you up and she wants you to pick up some milk, that would be a reason to go into the gas station, but for no other reasons. And guys, it's got to get to the point. And you say, Rich, you want me to drive around in a Tesla? Who can afford a Tesla? Well, on tonight's show, we're going to show you a clip with Elon Musk where he explains how you can afford a Tesla. And you don't forget, the Model S, the car that set all the records. I mean, the car of the year for car and driver, road and track. The safest car ever built. The only car to ever get 5 safety stars in all 5 categories. Only car to ever do that. And he's going to show you how it's going to be affordable, because they're coming out with the Model X by the end of the year, and then I think in a few years, well, you'll hear it on the clip. But, we're going to start off with a little bit of greed tonight, because greed is good. And I'm sure that's going to bring back some memories. And then we're going to show you a clip from Bernie Sanders. We've done this before, and it's about solar roofs. And you're going to hear what he has to say about solar roofs and how beneficial they are to the American economy. And then we're going to take a look at a clip from GE. And GE built a big solar field right by one of their offices. So, they're starting to practice what they preach. GE is starting to come around. And that's important. When you see the solar field, and they did it in one of those quick lapse things. So you watch the whole thing. It's in 2 minutes, and you go, wow. And I think it was 7,000 megawatts. Well, we'll watch the clip. So then we're going to look at the Tesla. We're going to go look at the Tesla clip, and you're going to see something that Elon Musk did that no other company would do. And guys, I always have the cards that I give out. Geez, I don't have. Yeah, I do. I have the cards, and like when I'm at the shopping center and stuff and I'm talking to people, I give them a card and they say, watch me on YouTube, And I gave a card to a lady, and she's looking at it, and she goes, Elon Musk. She goes, is that a new fragrance? Hey, when we're done with this show, you're going to know who Elon Musk was. I think he's one of my heroes. He's just unbelievable. All right? And then we're going to show you the future of free energy. And I said free. I mean, it's a little ways off, but you're going to start to see the nanotechnology. And when you see this technology, you're going to go, wow. And the technology is featured on TED. And that's a good question. That's a good Jeopardy question. What does TED stand for? TED. We'll explain that later. And then we're going to show you the must-have gadgets of 2014. And when you see some of these things, you're going to go, wow. I mean, just unbelievable. And then we come to the second part of the show, which is the part where the gloves come off and the bada bing starts. And we're going to give the GOP to business because they want to tax solar panels. You believe this? The guys that believe in the free market, vehemently believe in the free market. They want to do everything for the free. They want to tax solar. Can you believe these guys? These guys, I'm telling you, they're not playing with a full deck. The Koch brothers have twisted their brains to the point where these guys don't think anymore. It's amazing. And you watch what's going on, and I say to myself, who dumbs these people down? I mean, why are they all climate deniers? And what happens is, most of the time it's Rush Limbaugh. And we're going to play a clip from Rush Limbaugh today, and you're going to go, no wonder half the country doesn't know what's going on. They listen to this guy. And where he gets his information from and his sources, when you find out, you're going to go, no wonder. No wonder half the country is confused. It's people like this. All right, so anyway, let's get started. We're going to show a little clip, the old greed is good clip. So John, hit it.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldar Paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much.
Guys, greed is not good. I mean, I often talk about how we have to change the business models. But greed is good when it comes to your own house. When it comes to your own house, you want to be as greedy as you can be. You want to get as much as you can, and you want to take advantage of the opportunities that solar presents. So remember, guys, we could talk about this until we're blue in the face. Just pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. They'll take first of all, they'll take a satellite picture of your house, to make sure you qualify. And then really what we want to do is we want to create trickle-down economics. You want that solar energy to trickle down from the roof, through the converter, and then out to the grid and eventually into your pocketbook. Guys, on the last week, we showed the one guy who was saving $70 a month with solar. Now think about that. At the end of the month, when you're writing out your bills, wouldn't it be nice to have an extra $70? I mean, think about that. And that's not. I mean, I know some people who have $400 and $500 electric bills. Guys, you could virtually eliminate the whole bill. I mean, and if you play your cards right, and I was talking to Stefan today from Ross Solar, and he said, Rich, even houses that have electric heat can benefit from solar. Because if you can bank enough solar hours in the summer. You can use them in the winter. And I tell you, I have a buddy, and he lives in a solar house, and now this is a few years ago, there were times when I think he paid $800 a month. Now think about that. I mean, electric heat is one of the most inefficient ways to heat your home, but he didn't have a choice. That's what came with the house. So hopefully, and I wasn't aware of this, but I mean, as we go on, and when you become a capitalist, when you go to have solar panels installed, you're going to become a job creator. And guys, so far since we've been doing, in the past 3 weeks, we've seen 2 new people get hired from for Ross. And I spoke to Stefan today, and he said, Rich, he said, we need installers and electricians. And what they would prefer is, they really want people that have gone to a small college, like a junior college, where you could learn, how not to fall off of roofs and how to and how not to fry in the dead of summer or to freeze in the winter. But and guys, you got to remember one thing: with solar, these jobs are going to be paying a living wage with benefits, with insurance. I mean, you'll have respectability. What do you do for a living? I install solar panels. Oh yeah? Hey, how you doing? I'm doing great. Guys, I can, there's certain pride that people have when they do things. I installed cable, 40 years ago, and I'll still drive by some houses that I did, and I'll look at it and I'll go, wow, you spent a little extra time to do a better job, and look what you got. And that's what you want, So anybody, and I'm not winking you, go down there. I mean, if worse comes, just walk down there. Go down to Ross Solar. They're on Beaverbrook Road. Just walk in and ask them for an application. There's only 1 or 2 things they could tell you. And believe me, it'll be for the better. And why? Because they need it. And the more of a demand there is, it's just a benefit for everybody. So guys, when it comes to solar, especially with SOLARIZE Brookfield, and the fact that I'm a solar ambassador, and I want all you guys to be solar ambassadors as well. Tell your friends, have them look into it. And you don't have to necessarily go with Ross Solar, and you don't necessarily have to live in Brookfield. All you necessarily have to do is want to save money. It's simple. Put money in your pocket, have extra money. And in most of the videos that we showed, you don't have to lay any money out of pocket. The one guy that we showed, most of the people, they take the no-brainer, the 0 down lease. You don't save as much, but hey, you put nothing up at risk. They got you covered. If something goes wrong, they're gonna fix it. It's time to start thinking about the future. So let's take a look now at what Bernie Sanders has to say and what he thinks about the SOLARIZE idea and how he handles it.
Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity for including the 10 Million Solar Roofs Act in today's hearing. I was proud to introduce this legislation with Senator Boozman and very much appreciate the chairman's support as an original co-sponsor. This bipartisan bill will lower the cost of solar energy for families and businesses and set strong goals for American solar energy production. There is no question but that we have made dramatic progress in cutting the cost of manufacturing solar panels by 72% since 1985, and that is one of the reasons why the solar industry is exploding in this country. They saw, as I understand it, Mr. Chairman, something like a 64% increase in their sales just last year alone. On the other hand, we have not made the same kind of progress on so-called soft costs of installing solar. It's one thing to lower the cost in producing and manufacturing solar, another thing in terms of installing, and that includes permitting and inspection fees. These fees account for up to 20% of the price of solar and are equivalent to a $1 billion tax on solar over the next 5 years. We can do better. In Germany, solar energy is 40% cheaper, thanks in part to a simpler permitting process. In Vermont, I'm happy to say we have just passed legislation this year to streamline solar permitting and eliminate fees. I think it's going to lower the cost in Vermont, and we'd like to see that all over America. Secretary Chu's Sunshot Initiative sets a goal of reducing permitting-related costs by up to 88% to make solar cost competitive with fossil fuels without any subsidies. That is the long-term goal. By 2020, that's an ambitious goal that I believe we can reach. Our bill will help achieve that goal by providing modest competitive grants to local governments who commit to cut unnecessary red tape and reduce permitting costs. Communities that succeed will be eligible for DOE certification as solar-friendly cities and towns, helping them attract solar business. The grants, which are fully offset, help streamline the permitting process by simplifying and standardizing permit forms and creating online permit applications, funding training for inspectors to help make the process more efficient, and providing modest funds for community solar projects to pilot new permitting processes. Our bill also sets a goal of 10 million solar rooftops by the end of the decade. We need this ambitious vision to compete for solar energy jobs. Germany installed solar in 1 million homes in the past 2 years alone. China has doubled its solar energy target to 50 gigawatts by 2020, the equivalent of 50 nuclear plants. The bipartisan 10 Million Solar Roofs Act, supported by the Solar Energy Industries Association and the National League of Cities, will help us lower the cost of solar and create jobs, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to achieve broad support for this bill in committee.
Guys, did you hear what Bernie said? He said the soft costs, this will reduce the soft costs, the permitting, all the fees associated with solar. So he said the soft costs are about 20% or $1 billion. Now, it's really simple. If you look at what Ross Solar is doing with SOLARIZE Brookfield, they're taking a 7,000 kilowatt hour system, which normally would retail for $31,000, and with the rebates and all the incentives, the cost of that system drops to $13,000. Do I have to say much more? I mean, you can't get a better deal. And I mean, not only, and you could buy them outright, you could pay a little down, or you could pay nothing down. It's your choice. However you want to make money. You got to learn how to redistribute wealth into your own pocket. It's that simple. Do you want to give the money to the fossil fuel oils companies, or do you want to give the money to yourself? Do you want to put the money in your pocket or their pocket? Do you want to save money for your kids' education? Do you want extra money at the end of the month? I mean, just stop with everything else. Like I said, when it comes to solar panels, you could feel warm and fuzzy or cold and greedy. But the money's the same. The money is the same, All right, now we're going to show you, the next clip is from GE. And I tell you, I'm really starting to gain a lot of respect for GE because you can see they're starting to look at the future. They understand, they get it. They're trying to get away from the old light bulbs and the old stereotypes, and let's move forward. So anyway, this is a cute clip. They do that quick stuff. So John, just show it.
Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm sunning myself here at work. I can't help it. I just love harnessing the power of the sun. Feels good. Wait a minute. This field is huge. There's a lot of wasted sun around here. We need to do something about this.
GE, they bring good things to light, right? Isn't that one of their old logos? And now they're going solar. Times are changing, guys. And I mean, you know, the whole idea, you know, the reason why I show clips like that is, you know, for validity. You know, people see it and they go, wow, they wouldn't be putting all these panels up if they didn't work. And people are starting to get the idea, and they're catching on. So the next clip, you know, earlier I spoke about, you know, put panels on your roof and a Tesla in your garage. And now we're going to show you a clip with Elon Musk, and he's going to show you how affordable a Tesla can be. And remember, with a Tesla, you never have to pay for gas. So John, hit it.
A lot of people want to know when the less expensive version of the Model S, which is now about $70,000, when that and the less expensive Model X, the crossover SUV, when those are going to come out, be ready for production. What are you estimating right now?
Well, the $70,000 version of the Model S, which is actually $6,300 after the federal tax rebate, that's on sale right now. Although we do have a bit of a back order, so for all Model S's. So if you order a Model S now, it takes usually 2 to 3 months for it to arrive. The Model X, we expect to deliver in volume production in about a year. And then our mass market affordable car is about 3 years away.
That's going to be about half the
that's
price?
It's at the $35,000 car. We're growing as relentlessly as we possibly can. We're focused on getting as many electric cars out there as possible, building production of the Model S, bringing the Model X to market, and then bringing a high-volume, affordable car to market in a few years.
Your stock, Tesla stock, is up 323% or so last we checked over the past year. It's down about 28% from the peak in September. But you warned back in October that the stock's overvalued. You said it's, quote, more than we have any right to deserve. Do you still feel that way about the stock price?
No, at this point, I think that the stock price is probably about right. I think it's about right relative to the rest of the market. I mean, I do think it's probably fair to say that equities overall are at a relatively high point. Mm-hmm. But I don't think relative to other equities that Model S is particularly overvalued given the where the company's headed.
Do you think the market's overblown right now?
Well, you know, the equity markets move in cycles, and I think it's fair to say that we're either at or approaching the top of an upcycle.
What about a pickup truck? I believe that you said recently that you'd like to make the equivalent of a Ford F-150. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, we'd like to produce an electric pickup truck. We're not really thinking much about that, but that is part of our long-term plans. I would imagine that's probably something like 4 to 5 years.
Okay. How about the China market finally? How's that looking for Tesla?
I'm very excited about the China market. We'll start shipping cars to China in about a month, and it should be reaching our first customers probably towards the end of March. And I expect China to be a huge component of our sales towards the end of this year. China is the biggest market in the world for premium sedans, and I think it's going to be one of our biggest markets.
Guys, I looked at the Tesla stock today. It was $237. So, I mean, when we first started showing the stock, it was between 30 and 50, which was about a year ago. So, I mean, hey, you know, you talking about being a capitalist, and that's the stock you want to buy. But, you know, you heard Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is about to do something that no other car company owner would do. No owner of any company would do. What he's about to do is release the patents on all his charging products. So other people, he says, guys, just copy him, but get it right. You know? And why would somebody want to do something like that? Well, we're going to play the next clip and we'll explain it to you. So, Jan?
Elon Musk is a bit of a brilliant guy. He's actually the only person that has ever started in the US 2 different companies that have a valuation over $1 billion. Now, he started more companies than that, and they're all successful, but 2 of them went over $1 billion. So the guy kind of knows what he's doing. Now, Tesla's been fairly successful. That's one of his larger companies, obviously. But he decided that he was going to do a bold move anyway and say, look, I have all these patents that make the Tesla so interesting to people. That's why they're buying it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to release them. That's kind of amazing. So he wrote an op-ed explaining why. Let's go through that. He said, Tesla Motors was created to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport. If we clear a path to the creation of compelling electric vehicles, but then lay intellectual property landmines behind us to inhibit others, we are acting in a manner contrary to that goal. Tesla will not initiate patent lawsuits against anyone who in good faith wants to use our technology. He's saying, look, we created this technology. Yes, I'm profiting off of it, and we'd like to profit more. Of course, they're capitalists. They believe in that, right? But he's saying at the same time, part of the point was to get us off the fossil fuels to help the world. And if people are not following in our footsteps as we thought they were going to, well, we got to fix that. Now, he also has his own self-interest here, which I'm going to get to in a second, but that's a great move for the world. So he continues. We felt compelled to create patents out of concern that the big car companies would copy our technology and then use their massive manufacturing, sales, and marketing power to overwhelm Tesla. The unfortunate reality is the opposite. Electric programs or programs for any vehicles that doesn't burn hydrocarbons at the major manufacturers are small to non-existent, constituting an average of far less than 1% of their total vehicle sales. So he's saying, look, man, we thought, oh my God, we got to compete with these other electric cars that are going to come out. Turns out they didn't even bother trying to compete with us. And that's not where the competition is. So by all means, have the patents. Let's get some real competition because we need more electric cars. We got to switch away from fossil fuels. All right. Of course, he also needs more charging stations throughout the country. And the more electric cars there are and the more companies that follow him, the more charging stations there'll be. So look, he's obviously an incredibly bright guy. He's not just doing it out of the goodness of his heart, but you can do the right thing and then get good results for yourself at the same time. And if you do that, bless your heart. So he continues to explain. When I started out with my first company, Zip2, I thought patents were a good thing and worked hard to obtain them. And maybe they were good long ago, but too often these days they serve merely to stifle progress, entrench the positions of giant corporations, and enrich those in the legal profession rather than the actual inventors. So that's really interesting because we talk about the drug companies all the time. We know you have to invest a lot of money to create these interesting drugs, and in his case, interesting cars, right? And you get patents for that. But sometimes they wind up abusing those patents in a way where people lose their lives, especially in the pharmaceutical case, because they don't have access to those drugs at reasonable rates. We're not saying you give them away, of course not, right? And here he's saying, oftentimes these patents are overrated anyway. Okay, let's get to actually doing innovation instead of going to court and fighting over patents. He continues, given that the annual new vehicle production is approaching 100 million per year, and the global fleet is approximately 2 billion cars, it's impossible for Tesla to build electric cars fast enough to address the carbon crisis. By the same token, it means that market is enormous. Our true competition is not the small trickle of non-Tesla electric cars being produced, but rather the enormous flood of gasoline cars pouring out of the world's factories every day. And finally, he concludes by saying, we believe that applying the open source philosophy to our patents will strengthen rather than diminish Tesla's position in this regard. So it's good for Tesla, good for the country, good for the world. Hey, if you could actually pull that off, more power to you. And so he announced that recently. And what happened just this week? 2 new companies saying, hey, you know what? We might just take you up on that offer. Here's Nissan's spokesperson saying, we welcome others joining in the effort as we believe universally compatible charging will further accelerate electric vehicle adoption. So the battle is joined, but this is a good battle, a battle to produce more electric cars and get us to the right place. And then BMW also joins, and they say they have had talks with Tesla on how to further strengthen the development of electromobility on an international level. So up and at 'em, there we go. All of a sudden, it's not just Tesla anymore. Here comes Nissan, here comes BMW, and this is a race we can all get behind. What I love is when people do the right thing, and by the way, profit off of it, great, okay, and make the world a little better. So, more power to all of them.
See, guys, it's good to be a capitalist if you do it the right way, where you change the business model and you do what's good for the rest of the world, not what's good for your pocketbook. Get the idea? Speaking of get the idea, guys, you're not going to believe this next clip. This is from the king of Fox News. This is from Bill O'Reilly, and I tell you, you got to sit down because you're not going to believe this. Bill O'Reilly actually endorses and embraces Tesla Motors. I know you're going to think I'm giving you the old BS, but guys, the only way to prove it is to play the clip. So, John, let's show the mayor.
Last night, Bill O'Reilly opened his show, as usual, with what he calls the Talking Points Memo. It is that section of the show in which, inexplicably, they put almost every word that is on O'Reilly's teleprompter on the screen beside his talking head. So you have the choice of listening to Bill or reading what he's saying, or both. There is no other show on television that does this because no television professional has been able to figure out why O'Reilly does it. Last night's Talking Points memo included typical Fox News doubts on global warming and attacks on Brian Williams for reporting on the United Nations report on climate change. And then something truly extraordinary happened. That once-in-a-lifetime thing. I guess it's more like once-a-year thing, where Bill O'Reilly actually said something that I agree with completely.
I'll give you one concrete thing that all responsible people should be rooting for. On 60 Minutes last night, they reported on the Tesla electric car, which is a game changer. Car runs extremely well, looks good, doesn't use gas, no gas at all. Now that car in the next few years could be available in millions at a decent price. So everybody on the planet should be rooting for Tesla. I mean, everybody, even the traditional car companies that'll have to compete.
Viewers of this program know that the traditional car companies and their dealers are fighting Tesla everywhere they can to make it illegal for Tesla to be able to sell their cars directly to the consumer at Tesla stores, the way Apple sells computers and phones. Republicans in Texas who pretend to champion free market capitalism have made it illegal for Tesla to sell cars in the company's Texas showrooms. But now that Bill O'Reilly's on the case, maybe he can help loosen the car dealership's grip on state governments from New Jersey to Texas and strike a blow for the free market. And when I say Bill O'Reilly is on the case, I mean Bill O'Reilly is on the damn case.
If Tesla can make a clean car, the entire automotive industry can. Therefore, the air would be cleaner everywhere and our wallets thicker. So let's get on it, people. But there will be resistance. Many conservatives don't believe in global warming and oppose alternative energy.
Okay, make no mistake about it, Bill O'Reilly does not believe in global warming, but he does think pursuing alternative energy sources is a good idea.
Many conservatives don't believe in global warming and oppose alternative energy. I hope you guys rethink the energy part. I completely understand that many in the green lobby are self-righteous, arrogant, and dumb. But we would all be better off if clean, cheap energy becomes the norm. And that's the truth. And that's the memo.
And now I'm trying to think of something self-righteous, arrogant, and dumb to say. But I shouldn't try to compete with the master. No one does self-righteous, arrogant, and dumb better than Bill.
Guys, why doesn't O'Reilly just admit that global warming's happening? Oh, could you imagine? Oh, mama. Eventually, the people that watch the foxholes, the people at Fox are gonna have to tell the people that watch that global warming's real. They have to. I mean, eventually they're gonna. How are they gonna do that? And hey, we've all been through the thing with Santa Claus with the little kids, when are you gonna tell them? When are you gonna tell them? What are you gonna, eventually you're gonna tell them. But when it comes to global warming, these guys think it's a hoax that's been made up. And I call them simple folk. And why? Because they don't understand science. It's that simple. They're anti-science. They don't want to understand. It's like Brian Kilmeade said one day on Fox. He goes, I don't care. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what you show me. I'm not going to believe it. And these are the type of people that we're getting our news from. Hey, Fox is entitled to do whatever they want. But you know what? If you're going to make up stories, don't present yourself as a news organization. Call yourself Fox Opinion. Don't call yourself Fox News. You got Fox Sports, Fox Opinion, Fox Fun, Fox Games. Don't call yourself a news service, because you do the news service an injustice. You insult everybody the way you guys report news. All right. Now we're going to show you the future of nanotechnology. And guys, I tell you, this is a long clip. So you might want to grab a glass of wine or a nice fatty and just kind of sit back and, I tell you, because you're going to learn something and it's going to blow you away. So guys, enjoy.
2 nanometers is 20 atoms in thickness. And I wondered, what if the answer to some of our biggest problems could be found in the smallest of places, where the difference between what is valuable and what is worthless is merely the addition or subtraction of a few atoms? And what if we could get exquisite control over the essence of energy, the electron? So I started to go around the world finding the best and brightest scientists I could at universities, whose collective discoveries have the chance to take us there, and we formed a company to build on their extraordinary ideas. 6.5 years later, 180 researchers, they have some amazing developments in the lab. I'm going to show you 3 of those today, such that we can stop burning up our planet. And instead, we can generate all the energy we need right where we are, cleanly, safely, and cheaply. Think of the space that we spend most of our time. Tremendous amount of energy is coming at us from the sun. We like the light that comes into the room, but in the middle of summer, all that heat is coming into the room that we're trying to keep cool. In winter, exactly the opposite is happening. We're trying to heat up the space that we're in, and all that is trying to get out through the window. Wouldn't it be really great if the window could flick back the heat into the room if we needed it, or flick it away before it came in? One of the materials that can do this is a remarkable material, carbon, that has changed its form in this incredibly beautiful reaction, where graphite is blasted by a vapor, and when the vaporized carbon condenses, it condenses back into a different form. Chicken wire rolled up. But this chicken wire carbon, called a carbon nanotube, is 100,000 times smaller than the widths of one of your hairs. It's 1,000 times more conductive than copper. How is that possible? One of the things about working at the nanoscale is things look and act very differently. You think of carbon as black. Carbon at the nanoscale is actually transparent and flexible. And when it's in this form, if I combine it with a polymer and affix it to your window, when it's in its colored state, it will reflect away all heat and light, and when it's in its bleached state, it will let all the light and heat through, and any combination in between. To change its state, by the way, takes 2 volts for a millisecond pulse. And once you've changed its state, it stays there until you change its state again. As we were working on this incredible discovery at University of Florida, we were told to go down the corridor to visit another scientist. And he was working on a pretty incredible thing. Imagine if we didn't have to rely on artificial lighting to get round at night. We'd have to see at night, right? This lets you do it. It's a nanomaterial, 2 nanomaterials, a detector and an imager. The total width of it is 600 times smaller than the width of a decimal place. And it takes all the infrared available at night, converts it into an electron with a space of 2 small films, and is enabling you to play an image which you can see through. I'm going to show to TEDsters the first time this operating. Firstly, I'm going to show you the transparency. Transparency is key. It's a film that you can look through. And then I'm going to turn the lights out. And you can see, off a tiny film, incredible clarity. As we were working on this, it dawned on us. This is taking infrared radiation, wavelength, converting it into an electron. What if we combined it with this? Suddenly, you've converted energy into an electron on a plastic surface that you can stick on your window. But because it's flexible, it can be on any surface whatsoever. The power plant of tomorrow is no power plant. We talked about generating and using. We want to talk about storing energy. And unfortunately, the best thing we've got going is something that was developed in France 150 years ago, the lead-acid battery. In terms of dollars per watt stored, it's simply the best. Knowing that we're not going to put 50 of these in our basements to store our power, we went to a group at the University of Texas at Dallas, and we gave them this diagram. It was in actually a diner outside Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. We said, could you build this? And these scientists, instead of laughing at us, said, yeah. And what they built was EBOX. EBOX is testing new nanomaterials to park an electron on the outside, hold it until you need it, and then be able to release it and pass it off. Being able to do that means that I can generate energy cleanly, efficiently, and cheaply right where I am. It's my energy. And if I don't need it, I can convert it back up on the window to energy, light, and beam it, line of sight, to your place. And for that, I do not need an electric grid between us. The grid of tomorrow is no grid. And energy, clean, efficient energy, will one day be free. If you do this, you get the last puzzle piece, which is water. Each of us, every day, need just 8 glasses of this, because we're human. When we run out of water, as we are in some parts of the world, and soon to be in other parts of the world, we're going to have to get this from the sea. And that's going to require us to build desalination plants. $19 trillion is what we're going to have to spend. These also require tremendous amounts of energy. In fact, it's going to require twice the world's supply of oil to run the pumps to generate the water. We're simply not going to do that. But in a world where energy is freed and transmittable, easily and cheaply, we can take any water wherever we are and turn it into whatever we need. I'm glad to be working with incredibly brilliant and kind scientists, no kinder than many of the people in the world, but they have a magic look at the world. And I'm glad to see their discoveries coming out of the lab and into the world. It's been a long time in coming for me. 18 years ago, I saw a photograph in the paper. It was taken by Kevin Carter, who went to the Sudan to document their famine there. I've carried this photograph with me every day since then. It's a picture of a little girl dying of thirst. By any standard, this is wrong. It's just wrong. We can do better than this. We should do better than this. And whenever I go round to somebody who says, you know what, you're working on something that's too difficult, it'll never happen. You don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, there's something much more interesting around the corner. I say, try saying that to her. That's what I say in my mind. And I just say, thank you, and I go on to the next one. This is why we have to solve our problems. And I know the answer as to how is to be able to get exquisite control over a building block of nature, stuff of life, the simple electron. Thank you.
Guys, it's amazing what motivates people, isn't it? I mean, the guy carried around a picture for 18 years, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to do something about it. And just like we do here, you know, we did the one show, you know, were you going to do something where you can say to your kids, yes, we did. We did try to do something. We understood there was a problem, and we tried to help. We tried to change things. We tried to do the right thing. And then yet we got opposition from who? From the conservatives. Who else? Why? Because the Koch brothers. Really simple. But guys, I can't tarnish this until the next clip. But we're going to show you some gadgets now. And you saw they showed the strip of transparent stuff, and you're going to see a transparent phone. And when you see the phone, you're going to go, well, I don't know. When you, I don't know. You'll see it and you'll go, I don't know. But John hit it.
2014 is set to deliver some very impressive technologies to our fingertips. What can we look forward to? Well, here is a list of the top 10 awesome gadgets for 2014. To start off at number 10, Samsung unveiled a new bendable phone prototype, which they hinted could be released sometime in the near future. Capable of bending to form shapes like a tube, it is paper thin and incorporates an OLED screen. At number 9, we have the Apple iWatch. The application for the name was revealed to the public on June 27th of this year. If the rumors are true, it will run on the same software as the iPhone and iPad. Such a device would be another example of technology being ever more intimately integrated into society. At number 8 are robots. For many years now, the market in Asia has been booming, but the Western world has taken its time to catch up. 2014 is set to be a very big year for companies such as iRobot, and it is expected that there will be an inconsiderable increase in the number of people who buy robots for household uses. At number 7, we have transparent phones. Earlier this year, Polytron Technologies unveiled a demo phone showing a transparent phone, which is completely see-through. When asked for a release date, the manager of Polytron Technologies, Sam Yu, said that they are working towards a release date for the end of 2013. For number 6, we have OLED TVs. These type of TVs can be viewed from any angle and can also allow for a curved screen, with Samsung presently shipping the first of these 55-inch curved OLED TVs for July of this year for $12,000. We are likely to see worldwide production and competition of this new generation of TV next year as more companies begin to showcase their models and the prices drop. At number 5, we have the next generation of iPhones. The iPhone 6 is slated for a rumored release date of late this year or early next year. Many rumors have already begun to spread, such as scratch-resistant surface, 128 gigabytes of space, and that it could be powered by Intel. Number 4 is the Galaxy X5. Yes, I have put this on top of the Apple iPhone because I think it will be the best competitor for next year's new generation of smartphones. Not much is known other than a possible release date of April 4, 2014. At number 3 is something I am sure you are all aware of, the Xbox One and the PS4. These two gadgets are tied at equal third place because they are about to be released, and the game market could be dominated by either company. For a while, Xbox had seemingly destroyed its own reputation, with features such as always online and restrictions on used games. However, recently this has been amended, and the two companies are almost even on what they are offering. At number 2 is the Oculus Rift, a virtual gaming reality headset. This is perhaps the coolest technology on the list as it offers the chance to be fully immersed in the virtual world. While no official release date has been revealed, it is likely that something will be announced late this year or early next year. And finally, at number 1 is Google Glass, the glasses that offer an augmented reality experience wherever they go. It is confirmed to launch next year for a price of $1,500. So what do you think of this list? Do you agree, or would you arrange it differently? Leave a comment below with your thoughts.
You can try to... All right. So guys, when I told you there's a phone that you can look through, I wasn't kidding, but, you know, I tell you, I go back to the 8-track tape. You know, we thought that was revolutionary. All right, now we come to the fun part of the show, but we're running out of time. So we're going to try to get these clips in. And the first one is, and guys, I get so bitter about this. And why? Because the GOP and the Conservative Party, they're such hypocrites. And I mean, you know, they always talk on Fox, you know, they want the free market. They want to embrace the free market. That's all BS. They don't want to embrace the free market. They want to keep what they got, and they want to make sure that wind and solar never see the light of day. too late. It's too late, guys. John, let's show the next clip.
Last week, we brought you the story of Republicans and some Democrats in Oklahoma voting to tax solar power by way of a bill allowing utility companies to charge a monthly fee for residential solar power users. But that is just one small example of a far broader attempt to kill solar power. Today, a great piece in the LA Times pulls back the curtain on the staggering breadth of this effort. The Koch brothers, anti-tax activist Grover Norquist, and some of the nation's largest power companies have backed efforts in recent months to roll back state policies that favor green energy. Policies that require utility companies to achieve a certain share of its power from renewable sources, and a net metering system which allows residential solar power users to sell their unused power back to the utility company. These are the very policies under attack by right-wing groups. According to the LA Times, ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, recently drafted model legislation that targeted net metering. Of course, conservatives have had a long-standing animus towards solar power. The Reagan administration gutted the research and development budgets for renewable energy at the Department of Energy and actually had 32 solar panels that had been installed in the White House during the Carter administration dismantled. And there was one of the right's favorite targets, the Solyndra debacle, which was recycled for an ad last year in Arizona by the conservative group 60 Plus.
We've seen this before.
The true engine of economic growth will always be companies like Solyndra.
Connected companies getting corporate welfare. Now California's new Solyndras, Sunrun, and Solar City are getting rich off hardworking Arizonans.
Again, that ad was part of a broader effort in Arizona. According to the LA Times, a major utility and a tangle of secret donors and operatives with ties to ALEC and the Kochs invested millions to persuade state regulators to impose a monthly fee of $50 to $100 on net metering customers. Ultimately, a monthly fee of about $5 was imposed. There is a reason for all this ideological animus. Solar energy is the single biggest threat to the fossil fuel industry in this country. According to a recent report by the consulting firm McKinsey & Company, cost reductions will soon put solar, quote, within striking distance in economic terms of new construction for traditional power generation technologies such as coal, natural gas, and nuclear energy. So, if you're, the Koch brothers, and you've got a lot of money in fossil fuels, well, you've got reason to be nervous. We asked Koch Industries to respond to claims made in the LA Times piece, but have not yet received a reply. Instead, joining me now, Nikki Silvestri, Executive Director of Green for All, organization focused on building a green economy that lifts people out of power. And here's my favorite thing about the attack on solar from the fossil fuel industry and from conservatives, is they say, well, all of this is subsidies, and we need to let the free market decide. There is nothing more ridiculously socialistic command and control than the current utility system. You have no choice. You don't get to pick where your power from. The entire thing is the most command and control, centrally planned thing that we have in our entire economy.
That is absolutely true, Chris. And we really have to sit and think about, what are we talking about? What is the argument? Solar is good for all. It creates jobs and it's healthy for us. And right now there is monopoly when it comes to power companies. We don't really have a choice. But now that solar is starting to become competitive, there's starting to be arguments.
It's about competition. And, when you put